Hey now, I'm Dave Lemieux and I am here doing another Seaside chat. Beautiful day, it's a little cold. We're in late September when I'm recording this and it is definitely feeling a little bit like fall, but it's good. Here to talk about Dave's Picks Volume 52, the final installment of our 2024 Dave's Picks series. A great year so far, I think. Started out the year with the 4 CD set from the Frost Amphitheater in Stanford, at Stanford University in Palo Alto. The 2 shows, April 85, and then that was for number 4, and then for big number 50. I can't believe we're at 50, well, we're at 52 now. And we'll talk about 53 in a minute. 50 with, of course, the Palladium in New York City, also previously known as the Academy of Music. Great show from May 3rd with the May 4th bonus material, the bonus disc, which I love that bonus disc. 51, the one that came out a couple of months ago, of course, was Scranton, Pennsylvania, with our Office theme cover, with our kind of Michael Scotty kind of looking thing, from April of 1971. And for number 52, as we wrap up 2024, I really love this show. September 11th, Mickey Hart's birthday, 1983 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The Dead didn't play New Mexico too often, but when they did, they sure did seem to play well. It's getting a little brighter out, so I'm going to put these on. September 11th, 1983, a great show, one that, I mean, I've been listening to this show back in my tape trading days in the mid to late 1980s. I had a cassette of this, an audience tape, but I loved it as an audience tape. And then when I started working for the Dead 25 and some years ago, I started checking out the soundboard recording, which sounds magnificent. So it's kind of been one of these shows always on my radar when it's time to hit 1983. And in fact, a little bit of kind of behind the curtain sort of selection process information. When we released the Boise show from about 9 days before this, September 2nd, 1983, we worked on that one really hard. A good friend and myself, we listened to a lot of 1983 Dead from the second half of the year. And the 2 shows that it really came down to was Boise, September 2nd, and September 11th, 83 in Santa Fe. And it really came down to the 2 where it went for weeks and a lot of very healthy, constructive debate about which was the show to go with. And as it turned out, of course, we went with Boise, knowing that someday when that happens, when we get very close to releasing a show but it doesn't quite make it, we know that we'll get there someday. And today is that day. So if you're watching this, this is available at dead.net. You can head over there and check it out. Limited edition. They do tend to sell out pretty quickly for the most part. This one is such a top-notch show. If you were tape trading back in the day, you might know it already. If you don't, you're in for a treat when you hear it for the first time. We'll put up some listening party songs. The tide's coming in a bit, but it's still quite a ways from getting up here. I just kind of hear it. So, great show, Santa Fe. This fall tour of 83 really began in sort of mid-August, around the 20th in Palo Alto, the aforementioned Stanford University. Started at the Frost Theater, a couple great shows on August 20th and 21st. In particular, I like both those shows. One of them opens up with Cassidy, which is just amazing. But I do feel they're both really, really hot shows. And so from there, they kind of stuck around the West Coast. They did those 3 great shows at the end of August in Eugene, Oregon at the Halt Center, Silva Hall at the Halt Center. Great shows, August 29, 30, 31. And then the Boise, and then Park City, and then Red Rocks. So they were doing these incredible shows of the West and the South and the Midwest. I don't know, Red Rocks, is that Midwest? Where is Colorado? I mean, geographic, I know where it is. I know exactly where it is on a map, but what do you call it? Whatever you do, it's Colorado. Great shows. And then they headed out for the great music in Santa Fe. 2 nights, 2 days. They were day shows, actually. I think they started at 2 p.m. Just 2 really terrific shows. In particular, I mean, I love both the nights. The second night is one of those really special upper echelon shows, which is the show we've gone with for Dave's Picks Volume 52. Mastered by Jeffrey Norman, of course, from the original master cassettes. And Steve Vance, a special shout out to our good friend Steve Vance. Steve Vance has been doing the package design with the Grateful Dead and Rhino for decades, like a long time. Great guy, incredibly creative, incredibly talented. And this year, 2024, he was our artist in residence. So if you've checked out the artwork from Dave's Picks 49 through 52, this is Steve who's done the artwork in addition to doing the layout and the package design. So Steve, thank you. You really came through. You produced five magnificent covers, because it's the 4 Dave's Picks plus the bonus disc that came with number 50. So thanks, Steve. It's been a great year, and I'll look forward to working with you for many more years on doing the layout and design on these things and other projects. So it's been great. So anyhow, great looking package, great sounding album, great sounding music performance, top notch. Now the first set, somewhat typical of the era. A couple standout, well, there's a lot of standouts. The great little Dire Wolf in here, amongst other things, but there's a couple of the newer songs. One quite new from 1983 and one from 82, and that's Hell in a Bucket and West LA Fadeaway. A couple of the songs that would really be those defining songs through the rest of the 1980s, coming up with In the Dark in 1987. CC Rider might as well. I mean, they're really, really well played at this show. So the first set, incredibly solid, typical of the era in terms of set structure and set list, but incredibly well played. The West LA in particular, I mean, I'm not going to say in particular, the whole set is great, but the West LA has really resonated with me. I think we'll put that up as a listening party song, so you can check out the West LA. Second set opens up with Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower, the return of that in 1983. Now, it left the repertoire in the fall of 1977 and returned in the spring of 1983, stuck around for a couple of years, disappeared again in, well, Franklin stuck around, but Help Slip disappeared again in 85 and came back in 89, thankfully, with those Hampton shows, the Hampton 89 shows, the Warlocks. So it opens up with a great Help Slip Franklin's. And when we were doing the comparison listening that took really many months with the Boise show, the Slipknot on this night is so out there in a good way. It's so well orchestrated, and the way it comes back and lands back into the Slipknot motif before jumping into Franklin's Tower. I love this version of Help Slip Franklin's. The Help on the Way, it's inspired. Everybody's just really playing their hearts out. The Slipknot, like I say, is probably one of my favorites of that 83 to 85 return of Help Slip. I love this Slipknot, one of my favorites. And then the Franklin's Tower, incredibly joyous. I think it's a good word for Franklin's Tower. It is such a joyous song. So after that, then we get a huge surprise. After Help Slip Franklin's second set, you might expect Man Smart, Woman Smarter playing in the band, maybe Lost Sailor, Say in a Circumstance, one of those Bob Weir songs, Estimated Profit. Instead, you get a Bob Weir song, but you get a classic, traditionally first set Bob Weir song. You get Let It Grow. Usually at this time, by the mid-80s, early mid-80s, even going back to the 70s, it's a first set closer. And in this case, you get it as a second set Bob Weir song before we go into the next Jerry song. Just a really incredible song placement and an incredible version of Let It Grow. Again, I mean, I talked about the Slipknot. This Let It Grow is one of my favorites. And I don't know if it's because it's in the second set and they're playing a little more second set-y, a little more adventurous, a little, bigger jams. But I mean, it clocks in at 14 minutes, which, I mean, I think there's, I know of some 16, 17-minute versions of Let It Grow. But from this era, it's more of a kind of a 12-minute song. This one's closer to 14. They're really jamming hard on it. And then it goes into a He's Gone that is just perfect, vocally and instrumentally, and the jam after it, just perfect. I remember the first time I listened to this one while working on Dave's Picks 52, when we were really getting down to it. So I'd, by this point, listened to it many dozens of times, scores of times in the listening. But right when we were about to really set this one in stone, I was flying somewhere and I had this on the headphones, the He's Gone, and it just took me where I wanted it to take me. It was just a perfect version. I knew it like the back of my hand, but hearing it in that setting, watching the world go by from an airplane window with the headphones on, that's kind of one of those moments where you decide, okay, this is the next Dave's Picks. Great drums in space, creative, Mickey and Billy having tons of fun, daytime show, remember, and afterwards we get a truckin' and then a 10-minute version of Wang Dang Doodle. Really incredible Wang Dang Doodle. I think there was a technical problem with somebody's instrument, possible vocals, so they had to stretch out the jam considerably, but the Wang Dang Doodle is really something. And it goes really almost spacey at one point towards the middle part and goes way out there before coming back into that incredible Wang Dang Doodle riff, that motif of it. It's just a really great Wang Dang Doodle. Morning Dew. I mean, any show with a Morning Dew is something I think worth checking out. They generally play that song when they're feeling it. I mean, I guess you could say that for anything, but Morning Dew is a song, it's a challenge, and this one rises to that occasion. It builds a couple of times, the middle jam and then the ending jam. It builds and explodes a couple of times before ending with Jerry's belting out that final line. Just incredible. So check this one out. It is available at dead.net. It will likely sell it. If you subscribed, no worries, you'll get it anyway. It's obviously going to show up, I don't know, end of October, early November. I'm not sure the exact date, but you will get it. If you haven't subscribed to 2024, I get on it sooner than later. Like I say, they do tend to sell out. And around the same time that this video is going to appear and Dave's Picks 52 will be on sale, I think subscriptions for 2025 are starting to be, or will be taken soon. So stay tuned for that too. Great way to make sure you get all four for 2025, plus the bonus disc that will come with number 54. The one that will come at the end of April of 2025. And I mentioned earlier, we'll talk about number 53. I'm not going to give you specifics. I'll let Rhino kind of do their announcement, their reveal. They do such a good job with that. But I will say it's in the can. Number 53 is. Jeffrey has finished mastering it. It sounds incredible. It's a great, I mean, what am I going to say? It's a great show. It's a terrific show. It's a show that has been, again, on the radar for a long time. And it was one of those shows that we've always said, when we hit that era next, that will be the show that comes out from that era. And again, it came down to a couple of shows. We wanted to hit this era to start 2025. And it came down to two shows. The show that didn't make the cut will be the next one we hit from this era, I'm sure. Maybe. I mean, we're flexible with this kind of stuff. And we've just started working on number 54 and the bonus disc. The bonus disc is still a little up in the air. We're still working on that. We've got a really solid idea for it, but the show itself has been selected. Jeffrey will start on that. He's working on another project, which is also very exciting, but we'll get to that another time. But 54 is, he's going into production on that pretty soon, but the show has been selected. The bonus disc pretty much been selected. You don't want to miss it. 55 and 56, the ones that will come later next year, still a blank slate. Like I say, we have this flexibility and we just love having that flexibility. We will get to it. It's it's a really fun process to kind of figure it out. There's a huge, I don't know if you can hear those seagulls. I think there's a bait ball, which means herring or smelt, some kind of fish up at the surface, and then the seagulls all have a little party eating them all. Anyhow, I'm Dave Lemieux. Check out Dave's Picks number 52, volume 52 over at dead.net. And thanks to everyone who's been working on these all year and for many, many years. I thank Yvette and Brian and of course Jeffrey Norman for the incredible audio work, and Steve Vance, the whole crew at Rhino, of course Mark Pincus, the visionary behind this series going back to 2011. So going back almost, 13 years, almost 14 years. So Mark, thank you. It's a pleasure to continue to work with you. It really is. I love every day of it. So check it out. We'll probably have another video here soon as we get into the Dave's Picks 2025 subscription. So you might have to watch another one of these videos down here if the weather's good, in my office if it's not. And I will see you here. Head over to dead.net. We'll have some listening songs up. Oh, and thanks Lauren for getting those songs up and getting the video up too. She has to deal with all these videos that I send, and yeah, as we all know, brevity is not my strong suit. So I could probably do these videos in 2 minutes, but that would be no fun for anyone, at least not for me. So thanks for watching. Dave's Picks 52, available at dead.net. The complete show from September 11th, 1983, Mickey Hart's birthday. Got to point that out. It's a terrific Brent Midland era show too. Brent sounds amazing singing and playing. So anyhow, check it out, September 11th, 1983, The Grateful Dead in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Dave's Picks Volume 52. I'm going to shut this off with my little remote control, see if it works. Thanks for watching.